Put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody's joining the crew. We got just one ring, let we rule them all. Hope fruit, remember your cows. Get your uru feathers and your needler guns. A sonic screwdriver or a sword +1. Use Valerian steel if it will get you to come. To the pit, tank. To the pit, tank. The Rocky Mountain pit, tank.
Hi, I'm Troy, and this is person just coming in here now.
Hi, I'm Guy, and you're not.
And there, now we're switched. And yeah, this is the Right Under the Wire size podcast.
Yes, it totally is.
I have no idea. Did Alex mention anything to you about maybe not being able to make it?
No, but half the clocks in this house say it's 8 o'clock, so that could be part of the problem.
Yeah,
I mean, my phone, my PC, and all of the stuff that's got an intelligence more than one is fine. But yeah, all the VCRs are all just blinking 12 now. You know how that goes.
Yeah, that way it feels like it's just like home.
Right.
Back with your mom.
Your mom. I actually have a VCR sitting right here. And because I just got this really cool adapter, and I'm waiting to put it to work, but it is a USB to HDMI and to RCA.
Nice. So
I'm going to use it to dub off some of my tapes that are completely irreplaceable, and
well, that's a great idea.
And hopefully get a couple of the original animes as they were 100 million years ago, because nobody will ever believe me whenever I say, no, you don't understand. We barely could understand what was going on the screen,
Right.
And it's like all, like grayed out. Sometimes there would be lines that go like this through the middle of it and all kinds of stuff. So, but I put the test tape in and right away it ate it. So I had to take the top off of it now. I'm going to clean it.
Well, luckily it was a test tape. Smart move.
Oddly, and I know this is going to sound bizarre, the test tape was Macross the movie. And the reason I do that is because I have 12 different copies of Macross the movie, including the original Laserdisc. So I don't need to worry about my purple tape Macross the movie. So if it eats it, it's
expendable.
It's expendable. So that one got eaten. No Alex. Yeah. Well, we're thinking, Brent, we're thinking that the reason we don't have Alex is because half the clocks in the house say it's 8 o'clock. So maybe he may show up right at the very, very end of our show.
He might be having the same issue. Yeah. Although I did text him and I texted you, so hopefully the text will get noticed.
Yeah, I was late for a different reason. I was late because the goodbye party that we had yesterday was culminated at about 7 o'clock tonight.
There's an Alex. Boom. Hello. Can you hear us?
Yes.
We can hear you. Cool. We were speculating that maybe some of your clocks might not have been updated, and you were thinking it was 8 o'clock and not 9 o'clock.
No, I have to work today, so my clocks are updated.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Yeah, only my analog clocks are still screwed up. All of the digitals are fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Brent, you can borrow Macross the movie.
Guy was just talking about how he got a device to play VHS tapes and copy them over to his computer.
Yes, this is the device. It's got a plug in here for 2 RCA connectors, and then it's got a USB connector on this side, and it's got HDMI on this side. And it's designed for, and so right here, I've got my old VCR, but I put a tape in and it promptly ate it. So I've got to clean the old VCR. Then
it's a test tape.
Yeah, it was a test tape. It was, and that's where Macross the movie came from, because the test tape is Macross the movie, because I have 62 different versions of it all over the place. So if it eats the VHS copy, I'm really not plussed.
You have so you have like 62.
Not like Macross Plus, ba-doom.
Ba-doom.
But no, question that. So 2 RCA jacks. So it's just mono audio.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry. It's 3 RCA.
Oh, okay.
There's only 2 connectors in the back of my VCR.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
it's got all 3 of them. It's good. Yeah, here's the other piece of it that plugs into the side. So yeah,
Are most of those copies of Macross on VHS?
my copies of Macross,
Yeah, the ones you're
Macross
talking about.
7. Yeah, all of my Macross 7s on VHS because
I was gonna say, if you have that many, you could just make a Macross out of the VHS tapes.
yeah.
And
But
then
I
sell
mean,
it for $1 million. Because art.
right. Oh, so Brent, most of this is because the reason I'm doing this is primarily because my dad,
Your dad,
in his infinite wisdom, had one shrink-wrapped copy of the movie I made in junior high. And I think it's the only remaining copy of that movie. And so I'm not risking it in this VHS player until I'm sure that it's not eating tapes. I'm not even pulling it out of the shrink wrap until I'm sure that it's not eating tapes. So, but that's the reason, that's the real reason that we're doing all of this is I have found a couple of VHS tapes while going through all these things. I have no idea what's on them, but yeah, I know, right? I'm going to find out things and be like, yeah, I didn't need to know that. But I do know that, no, I mean, they were mom's, like, I don't know, whatever. They said Olympics on them, and who knows what Olympics they could have been. Could have been the 1992 Olympics for mom, you know. But either way, it'd be kind of cool to see what she thought was cool to record at the Olympics, you know.
He didn't hear me.
No.
Uh-oh. I thought Alex was deep in thought, but he's glitched.
Although I've got to admit, if you're going to be glitched.
Yep, that's a good one.
That's the one to glitch at. I'm going to screen cap that because that is the bestest picture I've seen in a while.
There.
I'm all about this picture. I'm going to save it. This is one of my favorite Alex glitch pictures ever.
So there he goes. You lucky you did it when you did.
Yep. But now I can do something horrible.
Make our new credits.
I'm going to make our new credits. That's what I need to do anyway. I just need to find time for that.
Time.
I know, right? Time is just
such a jerk.
I know, right? What's time's issue? I mean, really, man.
But I have a VHS to DVD burning device.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
That I bought because I have a lot of VHS tapes. A lot of them are from like old improv shows that were recorded.
Also, something that needs to be saved.
Yeah, that I'd love to get transferred over and up onto the internet, so the performers of that show would have access to it if they wanted to watch them.
Device is not connected.
I'm adding the stage anyway. We'll see what happens.
No.
Try again.
Wait. Oh, it's because he's trying to add himself.
I can't do that.
Yeah, he can't do that.
He's not cool enough to do that. That's his problem.
No. Yeah, sorry, our internet went down. Yay. Had them out last week. Yay. So tethered to the phone.
That's fair.
Yeah, once I get them into digital format and not VHS format, that's my plan. But that's been a project that's been ongoing for years now, and I've not done anything with it. So there, take that.
I feel that in my bones.
There. So yeah, gosh. I know I had stuff, and now it's all gone.
That's all right. I mean, talking a little bit about, how do we save things? What's our, as time is going on, there's a lot of stuff in our history that, it's starting to, some of us are more media hoggy than others. I say that because I've got like a zillion things. Like I just created 2 new videos this week because I'm making them for classes because they didn't say that I couldn't. So Well, no, actually, I specifically have one. Hey, Bob. I have one teacher who's like, you know what? Essays are so last century. So you guys are all artists and stuff like that. Because the anthropology class that I'm in there is one of the 1010s. So it's actually a 1020. So, because of that, it's mostly a requirement or, prereq that they're trying to do. And so she's like, I'll take anything that you want to do that it just shows that you know the information. So I've been making, the first one I did was a bunch of comic strips, and the second one is a video of skeletons talking about missing bones and how they're missing a whole bunch of bones.
Surprised you haven't gone the Star Trek route and have Spock and Kirk talking about bones missing.
See, that would be, the problem is I don't think that would achieve the goal. I feel like she'd be like, yeah, this was great, but did not actually tell me whether you learned anything in osteology. So,
well, that's her fault,
right? Just lack of being able to just see what's happening, man. Just saying. So, how you doing, Alex?
Oh, doing well. Drinking a very fine beer, one of my favorites, Snowed In Cherry. It's a oatmeal stout, aged in bourbon barrels. Very good. And then this weekend I did go out dancing last night, which I don't normally do on Sundays these days. That a couple of baby bats that I know from Fort Collins are coming out. Haven't been out in several months. I want to make sure that they had a friendly face to hang out with for a little bit. Was responsible. Left about 11:20 or so.
Nice.
Was in bed by like 12:30. Was tired, but really dragging ass now because I went to training.
Oh,
an hour of karate. I'm like, oh my gosh. Still playing D3 with the family, which is cool. And then we actually Saturday I wasn't at game. Gave plenty of warning because my church threw an all ages prom, and we had a really good time.
Nice.
That's awesome.
We got to about 6:30. We let Nova and I. It ended about 9:30, and Nova and I left about 10 as we were helping doing teardown. Lauren was there for a while, but she danced so hard she broke her dress.
Wow.
At least she didn't break something else like a knee or something.
Right. So I took her home, came back, just made sure Nova was in good hands, and came back and had a good time. I was a little bit worried that Nova wouldn't be dancing out there, but she was having fun.
Was she cutting a rug?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So
you by the way had the awesomest freeze picture.
Oh my. That's a good one.
Yeah.
It was like so awesome. I was like, this is the best freeze picture.
Deep in thought, or is he frozen?
Right.
But if you're gonna freeze, this is the way to freeze.
Nice.
That was awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, in fact, it was so cool. Of course, I screen capped it because I'm like, that's just really funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear as y'all were talking a little bit about saving everything, and it's just it's just one of those things that you just can't do. Right? The vast majority of human art and all of expression and all its expressions is lost to us. Not necessarily saying that we should be laissez-faire about it, but just like it's just kind of the way it is.
And I think my biggest thought process at this point is just saving what I can, what's reasonable. And I think honestly, I'm probably not, just something that could be construed as a sampling of what I did would be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but your stuff's out there on the internet already, which means it's most likely going to exist. Yeah. It's just a matter of people finding it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, other nerd news are like the same company that made Odin Sphere. The name of the company's Vanillaware just came out with a new game named Unicorn Overlord.
All right.
Which Rarity of Rarities actually has a demo available.
Really?
It's not something you see a lot of these days.
No, but I played a demo on Jump Light Odyssey for that same. Speaking of anime-esque, because of course that's a Sims-esque version of Yamato, where you have a Yamato ship and you have to make sure that the crew stays alive.
Mm-hmm.
But all the characters are drawn very lazy-verse, and it's awesome. So, but the point really wasn't to hijack your statement, but rather to say I had played a demo as well of Jump Light Odyssey, which is making me wonder, is there something about a specific genre where they're playing demos?
From what I understand, there is market research shows that most games that have demos don't see a marked uptick in sales.
That makes sense.
That's what I've heard and read about. I don't know if there's any counterpoints to that. I haven't read any. I will say that for the most part, I mean, usually if I'm willing to play a demo, I'm willing to buy the game. I just want to see exactly what it's about. The most recent demo I've played was the new Prince of Persia Sands of Time spinoff. I played that demo. I'm like, oh, it's really cool. I'm not sure exactly when I can fit it into my busy schedule, but I'll probably end up buying it here in the next couple months.
Makes sense.
The one demo, the demo that I can think of that I was like, wow, I need to own this game. Arkham Asylum. That demo came out, and I'm like, yeah, Batman game. I played a bunch of these. They're all trash. Oh my god, this game's awesome because I'm Batman. And no, I remember playing that demo and being like, oh yes, this game is purchased. So yeah.
As a side note to Brent's statement, Brent, if you do get into Macross, please, there is stupid. There, as Bob will attest, and because Bob and I are both big Macross nuts, the war between Big West and Harmony Gold has made it so that Macross has never really seen the light of day over here, nor will it ever. And all of us who are Macross fans are only Macross fans because of underground ways of getting Macross. So if you were to ever get a series, there's a ton of Macross over there that I would love to see, but I can't because Harmony Gold wants to lock down the Robotech rights. And so Big West can't sell them over here.
Right. And that really kind of speaks to what, I don't know if you guys already touched on this when I was having the internet troubles, that Brent's saying it's like, oh, all these streaming services, and all that. I think we've touched on that before, though.
Yep.
So the way that his statements makes it sound is like he only watched the first 40 minutes of RoboCop on Peacock, and he has to watch the next 40 minutes on HBO Max.
Well, yesterday I was having that problem, and I even griped about it online because I wanted to just watch Star Trek 2. I was kind of having a crappy day, and that's a feel-good movie. Always makes me feel better. But it's no longer on Paramount for reasons, and I don't know why. So I went looking on Paramount. It's not there. Okay, no problem. Well, hunting around. I can't find it. So I Googled it, and it's on Hulu. So I've got Hulu. I just got the Hulu bundle with Disney, so that's fine. But it hadn't been set up, so I had to go through and set all that up, only to find that it's on Hulu if you have Showtime or Cinemax connected to it. And though I have Cinemax, it's not connected to the Hulu account. So the Hulu account couldn't see it and wanted me to pay an extra $12 a month for Cinemax. And I'm like, I already have that through the HBO package. So I had to exit out of that and go into the Cinemax streaming thing to then search for it. And then whenever I finally got it, it was just one of those things that was like, I spent 35 minutes just trying to load the movie up. And I could have gone downstairs and gotten the DVD. But I don't have any DVD players hooked up to anything right now.
Oh my God.
We can't decide on where the gaming systems are going to live. So right now, the gaming systems all live in still where they were before in that other room, which now has no furniture in it. So I could watch it, but I'd have to stand on the floor. or sit on the floor and watch it. I was like, really?
Captain on deck, Mr. Davis.
Just making everything complicated. So anyway, I griped about that, and then Patsy, one of my viewers who often is here, she actually commented and said, "Oh, wow, you've got a different system than mine. Roku, you just type it into the search engine." And I was like, really? So I went, and sure enough, if you type it in on the Roku search, it'll search all of your streamings to find the thing and just load it and play it.
That's very
That would have
cute,
saved me
Roku.
30 minutes.
So when's the last time did you watch it on Paramount Plus at any point?
Yeah, it used to be on Paramount Plus a while back.
Okay, it looks like a year ago is what I'm finding. It was released in theaters, and apparently they pulled it from Paramount Plus when it was released in theaters, and it's not back yet.
I believe you and I went to that movie a year ago.
We might have. Well, I thought it was more than a year ago.
Yelling con.
I think it was way more than. I think it was before COVID.
Yeah, it might have been.
Because I took my little.
They keep re-releasing it. It's
con action for.
It is far and away the best Star Trek movie. So.
Yeah, when I just did a search to see why it's not there, that seems to be the reason.
Yeah, it still makes me. None of the movies are there.
None
of them. No.
Whoa.
In fact, they even pulled the Kelvinverse movies off. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So the sandwich system moved downstairs. Yeah, we on we only have the main floor and the basement. So on our main floor, I still use the PS3 for a couple games, but mostly as my Blu-ray DVD player.
Yeah.
And then the PS4 for gaming, and then that's the most modern system I have right now. Downstairs is where I have like my computer hooked up to the smaller TV. It's only 40 inches, and I'm sitting like 5 feet away. Terrible. With a sound bar.
It's bad for your eyes. Didn't you learn that when you were a kid?
It's fine. I did all the research. Like, I'm still at a within optimal distance. And then that's like that's where I'm gonna put my legacy systems. So
yeah,
but yeah, I do have it hooked up to the PC and a old wired 360 controller to play games on. So, but yeah, it's cool.
Okay, yeah, they licensed them all out to a movie theater group, and so therefore they're pulled from Paramount Plus to inspire people to go see them in the theater, and at some point those rights will revert back and they'll put them back on Paramount Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
So it just goes to show, can't get rid of your hard copies.
Nope. I had no intention of doing so.
I've got Wrath of Khan sitting over there right behind Khan on my.
Yeah. I mean, I don't intend to. It's just that I happen to be in a confluence of stupid.
Confluence.
I hate the confluence of stupids.
Right, and once you start digging your teeth into it, you're like, I can just get this to work. And it's like, that would have been easier for me to pull my DVD player up here. God damn it.
Well, it's like I've got a DVD copy of The Final Countdown, that movie from the 1980, where the aircraft carrier goes back in time.
Yeah.
It vanishes completely. You can't find it. So I'm like, that's becoming a cherished item because that's one of my favorite movies, and I cannot find it. It does not exist. You can't find it. I mean, and every so often you'll see it show up on like a streaming service, and then it disappears again.
Right, which is apropos.
Right? It is totally apropos for that movie.
But no, I mean, I think we've talked about this before too. But I mean, I'll reiterate the whole. It's a service issue, and I generally don't do the pirate thing.
Nope.
But I do for certain things. Like you can't like. I'm sure it comes up once in a while, like The Trial.
Mm-hmm.
They made a film version of The Trial in like the early '90s, starring Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah.
I have that as a file.
Mm-hmm.
There's so everyone who listens to this podcast knows about Twin Peaks. David Lynch, Mark Frost, amazing. They worked on another project together, a television project about the same time as Twin Peaks, named On the Air. It's a sitcom. It's a sitcom about like this radio show, this radio station. And of course, I mean, we saw some other stuff that was like that with Phil Hartman and such later on, but this is definitely a bit more absurdist um, than that. And it was also from like 91, 92. Try finding that anywhere.
Yeah. I
have files of that too. And you know what? You want sue me.
Right. There's a couple of things like I no longer feel guilty about digital files of Star Trek. I have paid more than my share of money to CBS, to Paramount, to because I owned all of the VHSs and I owned both versions of them. And I've owned the DVDs and I've owned the Blu-rays. And you know what I mean? I keep buying it over and over and over. I don't feel guilty anymore. I have paid for it, and I've had Paramount Plus since it was CBS All Access and yada yada yada. But there is one thing that I'm that you'll never find that I have, and I'm very excited to have it. It's a movie called Special Bulletin, and it was a made-for-TV movie in the 1980s, which was done a la the War of the Worlds, where we interrupt this program for a special bulletin. Coming to you live is, Joe Smith and Tammy Wyatt, whatever. And it goes to these two reporters who are, saying, we're covering a situation that's developing now in Charleston Harbor, where a ship has come into the harbor claiming to have a nuclear device aboard. And it's them covering this nuclear standoff between a boat sitting in Charleston Harbor and the authorities and yada yada yada, and they're trying to figure out whether this is a ploy or whether it's just and it's one of those things that was you can't find it, and I have that on digital copy, and it's one of my favorite movies. It's stupid cheesy, but it's really really solid, and I love it. And so someday we should have a viewing of it some night.
Yeah, the thing that I would really love to see that I don't have a copy of yet, and it was never released in its original form on home video, but I think like an edited or different music rights, because of music rights, a different version was put out. But the Lathe of Heaven, the mid '70s NPR or public television did a mini series of it. It's supposed to be excellent. Ursula Le Guin, the original author, did was like a consultant on it and everything. So it's as true to her vision as could really be reasonable. Hero of Truth, 1, is that a good kind reference? 2, we'll get to it after sponsors. Because as much as I appreciate Troy putting in, here's the Wikipedia article and TV tropes and all that, we're a podcast. You should talk about it.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you guys. I knew we'd get around to it, but I also wanted them to know that I was doing it.
Oh yeah. But then it's like the name of the show was on the air, and I have it. I've only watched like the pilot, and I was like, wow, this is bonkers. But still pretty fun. Yeah. But it's 9:30 now.
It is 9:30. You know what that means? It means I need to. Oh, well, fine. You do it.
I will, because Geek Tank is sponsored by Kieran Games, Geekway Homes, The Massage Wizard, and your mom.
The mom of
cool.
the moms.
Twin Peaks. Not to get into too much detail, because I can talk about Twin Peaks forever.
It's a 5-part episode.
Yeah, pretty much. Twin Peaks was a television show that aired in the early 90s. That was a huge cultural event. It became this sort of like a cult following, but mainstream. David Lynch, the auteur, artist, best known as a film director, and Mark Frost, who has a larger name if you're familiar with his work. He's worked on a lot of really cool shows, especially in the 80s and such, and the 90s. They collaborated and made this show that, if you're familiar with other, David Lynch likes to examine kind of like what's beneath the surface. So one of the main movies that deals with that about the same time is Blue Velvet, and he really brought, like, basically so many television shows in the modern era, and this show aired in like 1992, 91. I don't remember the original air date because I was alive then, but it was not on my radar. Um, he brought a cinematographer sensibility to television,
Mm-hmm.
and Twin Peaks, as far as watching it goes, if you get a hold of the pilot, great. It used to be on Netflix. It might be on Hulu now, but maybe not. I don't know who's streaming it right now. But if you really want to know what Twin Peaks is about, not only like in the plot, but also kind of tonally, watch the first regular episode. It really does it does a better job of kind of setting up for what's to come than the pilot does. But no, it's phenomenal work. It's so influential. So many other directors, producers have taken the lessons that Twin Peaks kind of had to show. And since I want to keep this brief, if you decide to watch it, great. First season is a short season. Watch the pilot, watch the first season, and the central mystery is who killed Laura Palmer, this small town homecoming queen. And as the outsider, played by Kyle MacLachlan, explores the town, is trying to solve this murder mystery, he keeps on like finding more and more layers of mystery and depth and what's going on here.
And because the murder took place over state lines, it becomes a federal case, and that's why an FBI agent's brought into
FBI
it.
agents there, yeah. And so, one, don't watch the movie first.
Yeah.
The movie is the last couple weeks of Laura Palmer's life, including her murder. It gives away the entire mystery.
Right.
And the so if you're watching the series, cool. If you get to definitely watch until they catch the killer. So David Lynch and Mark Frost, they had differing opinions as when to reveal who the killer was, but it wasn't originally supposed to be until at least the end of the second season, which is a full 20-something episode season. But they caved to network pressure. They revealed the killer. They caught the killer, and then there's an immediate aftermath. By all means, watch the episode after they catch the killer. And then if you keep on watching it, cool. But the quality takes a real dive because the two original creators and producers lose interest in the project. And there's still good stuff there. Like I'm a super fan. But there's still good stuff there. And then the show gets canceled, and then there's a letter writing campaign, bring back our Twin Peaks. Basically, the television company ABC decides, yes, we're going to do this. Mark Frost and David Lynch come back, and for like the last 6-7 episodes, quality starts to go up again. However, for most people, those episodes where it gets bad are really bad, and they don't want to watch them. And if you're not already in a headspace to forgive yourself, then please let the super fan absolve you of your sins. You may stop watching whenever you wish. So
yeah, most of the stuff in the first seasons, the stuff that you have seen referenced and stuff like The Simpsons.
Yeah,
they did an entire episode of Psych that was a tribute to Twin Peaks.
Yes, it was named. Oh gosh, what was it? It's the reason why I watched Psych. It's a season 5 episode. I watched the entire run.
Yeah,
because I'm like, oh, what's this? Oh, they did the Twin Peaks tribute. Yeah, you can go to TV Tropes and find out all sorts of like different tribute episodes. I mean, The Dragon Prince does a Twin Peaks homage.
Yeah,
this kids show. My
Dual
daughter's
Spirals.
watching it. My Dual Spires, yes.
Thanks, Bob.
My daughter is watching it. She's like, what the hell is going on here? My kid, we'll watch the show together. Trust me. Like, yeah.
It is interesting because you were talking about layers, and I just showed my kid X-Files, Jose Chung's From Outer Space episode.
Jose Chung's From Outer Space.
Which
that is the episode I show non-X-Files fans. I'm like, you need to see this.
And that's what I showed him. And we were going through the whole thing, and they were like, there are layers to this. Oh man, this is going back and like they were totally into the fact that this was layers on layers on layers.
Mhm.
Like going everywhere.
Multiple unreliable narrators.
Mhm.
Like I showed it to a friend of mine who is like, he is not a big. I mean, he's more so now because he's thinking about it more like from like the collective unconscious Jungian level, but he's
Mhm.
not a really big fantasy or science fiction guy.
Right.
And I showed him that one episode of X-Files back like in 2004 or something.
Yep.
And he was like, wow, because he may not be a sci-fi fantasy guy, but he has absolutely been all his life a political science guy. And he's like, oh yeah,
I'm in. Yeah.
seeing this and seeing that, and like, oh yeah, like Mulder throws out the phrase, the military industrial entertainment complex. He's like, I'm here for this. I'm like, yeah, buddy, I knew you'd be it.
It is one of my absolute favorites. We used to call it the Men in Black episode because that was one of the funniest parts of it, which I will
I don't
not
think
spoil.
anybody would think anything would be strange about this conversation if you related to them.
Right? Most of the people believe they've seen a UFO, but what they really have seen is the planet Venus. Oh my God!
Your scientists have yet to discover how the human brain takes two-dimensional images to create the phenomenon known as depth perception, and yet you so brazenly declare that seeing is believing.
Such a great
Amazing.
episode.
Amazing.
It's a wonderful episode. I love that episode so much. I liked
Like-
X-Files. I mean, you know, I had an off and on relationship with X-Files.
Mhm.
Some episodes I was like, I don't know where they're going with this one. And some episodes I'm like, that was pretty cool. But it was not ever, it didn't grab me until Josie Chung's From Outer
Did you
Space.
see Josie?
Chung?
Did you see Jose
Jose.
Chung's return? I'm sorry,
It's
Jose. Chung.
Jose.
Jose. Did you see
Jose
Jose Chung's return in Millennium?
No.
Their series Millennium episode was called Doomsday Defense, season 2, episode 9. He returns in that because Millennium was a spin-off with
With Lance Hendrickson.
Lance Henderson's character.
And they
Victor.
even, speaking of X-Files and spin-offs, like remember the other one, the Lone
The
Gunman.
Lone Gunman. Oh my gosh, do you remember the
and
first episode?
Lone Gunman and Millennium had basically their season finales rolled into X-Files episodes, or their series finales.
That's
And
interesting.
yeah, because they got canceled.
They got canceled. So they rolled them out. That makes sense.
And then no, those are good things. And no, I love Lauren and I watched the entire run of X-Files. I think we're getting it from the video store. This is how long ago it was when we lived downtown in Cap
Yeah.
Hill.
Oh yeah.
And we even love the Agent Doggett episodes. Like we weren't not watching in the 90s. We were like, like we were. But it's like, oh yeah, no, these are cool. Agent Doggett,
Yeah.
Mulder, he's got some DSLs. It's cool. But he's not necessarily a man of action where Agent Doggett is. And there's a couple of episodes where like Agent Doggett needs to fucking come in here and handle this shit.
Right.
Or like we watched actually there was like the episode with like the Russian guy with the axe, and I'm like, the Russian guy with the axe needs to show up and like handle this shit. And he totally does. And I'm like, axe solves many problems.
Yes. It was hysterical because in the opening credits, it started talking about all the different characters, and we went through Deep Throat, and then Lexi's over there and goes, well, this is disturbing. And I'm like, oddly, it should disturb you, but not for the reasons you're thinking, because that's a different reference.
Yes, that is a reference to some real shady shit.
Yeah, some real shady stuff from the 70s. But since you don't have that political wherewithal yet, acumen, you just only know the one reference for that particular name. I'm like, but that's what X-Files is not referencing. X-Files is referencing the political crap.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which makes some sense.
There's a quote from a Millennium episode. I'm forgetting which one. It might be the same one, the Doomsday Defense, where there's a guy who's like a motivational speaker who turns out to be one of the bad guys, and he's being chased by Frank Drebin, and he's about to jump from the top of one building to another building, and Frank Drebin goes, "Don't do it! You'll never make it!" He goes, "Not with that attitude."
Ah,
So being the motivational speaker, kind of.
Nice. That's
But,
funny.
But I like Millennium. It's a cool show,
Cool.
especially when
Frank
they did the
Drebin, I
Borax.
think, was the.
Not Frank Drebin, Frank Black.
Yeah, I was going to say
Frank
Frank Drebin was from Police Squad.
No, did
Right.
you see that? Did you
As
see
soon as you said it, I saw Leslie Nielsen going, "Don't do it!" And then I'm like, "You know what's going to happen next?
Yes.
I don't know what it is, but somebody's going to pee or something."
There's
I
a
don't know.
guy who edited Frank Drebin into like Lord of the Rings.
That is awesome.
So and a bunch of other movies.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you
They're
have to
not here
look
for
him up.
you. They're for Weird Al Yankovic.
That's awesome. I was thinking recently of all of those because, of course, Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2 is the only one that I seem to be able to find.
What about Top
of
Secret?
all of those Zuckerman Brothers films or whatever they were.
I don't know if Top Secret was Zuckerman or not.
I love
Yeah, it was
Top Secret.
definitely in
that one.
the vein.
That one's the sleeper funny because it's got so many good jokes in it, and
Mhm.
nobody's seen it.
Yeah, it's Zucker.
Yeah.
Is both
Yeah.
is the Zucker
I've
brothers.
seen it.
Zucker Brothers.
But I love the one where he's like, "I know a little German," and he points over, and there's a short German guy.
Yeah, I know a little German.
We did not
He's white.
realize that our power grid is at 220 volts. It took us over an hour to wipe the smile from his face.
That's right. It's so not right.
Thanks, Mom. My mother showed me wildly inappropriate movies for the time. And this was in an age when rated R movies were marketed to children like myself.
Right. But yeah, I mean, oh man, that one's got some good stuff. The Pinto one is the one that still cracks me up because like nobody gets it. And it's, I mean, like you unless you lived in the world with Pintos, nobody gets. Yeah. That's the best part.
You got to love the Germans. They make great cars.
Oh,
This show has become old men talk about movies they liked.
Eh,
Back in my day, we could make jokes about Pinto cars.
I know. It's the same thing. Bob.
Oh, the ballet
Ballet
scene, yeah, where they're like hopping from cod piece to cod piece.
Yes.
Like I said, wildly inappropriate.
Mhm.
Like
It's
my
not
mother, like
inappropriate.
she got on this horror movie kick, and I was, man, gosh, it was like I'm gonna say Connecticut second time, so I was like in 7th grade. So I was hold on, 11, 12. And I had become so jaded at this point. We're watching The Evil Dead, the original. And they go to the cabin, they find the recording, they play the recording. It says the only way to dispose of the evil dead is through bodily dismemberment. And at least I was going, "Mom, you see where this movie's going, Mom." Just matter of fact, that's what's happening.
I did say that to the kiddo that they're rapidly approaching that line. There's a line where I will be like, "You can watch this movie, but I'm not," because like they're like, "Well, I was thinking about Five Nights at Freddy's," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not getting near that. I'm not touching that."
As they get
I
their
know
license, they can come over here and watch all the horror movies they
Right.
want.
But it reminds me of
There's a light rail station nearby.
That's true.
Yeah, I was. I don't remember how old I was, but I was old enough that we had cable, and I was flipping through the channels and came up on The Exorcist. And my mom walked into the room, took one look at the TV, and said, "You can watch this, but I'm out." And she turned around and left. And I was like, I am a grown boy now. I can watch. And then there was the split pea soup scene, and I said, "I'm out."
Yeah.
So my brother and I were watching that on syndicated television. I probably told this story before.
Oh my God.
So there's commercials, and it's the scene where there's the party, and she comes down the stairs, and then she just pees on the floor, and then it cut to commercial, and this somebody had to have done this on purpose because it was just too perfect, and it was a commercial to rent a wet vac.
Nice.
And my brother and I just died laughing at that. It was just so great.
To this day, I still have not seen all of The Exorcist. I keep seeing it in little bits and pieces, But now, as an older person, I'm aware that it probably just has a bunch of jump scares, so I'm just not that big on it.
It's been too long for me to remember the jump scares.
It doesn't really
I
matter.
feel like a lot of the scares weren't the jump scares. It was the body horror, like the head spinning around, the crawling backwards down the stairs, which I think that you have to see the director's cut for. I can't remember if that was in the normal
No,
cut or not.
it's in the original.
Okay,
Pretty
but
sure.
yeah, the scene of her crawling upside or arched backwards down the stairs. The doing the thing with the crucifix.
Yeah, the crucifix. No, that was the scene. It wasn't the split pea soup. It was the crucifix scene. Mom left the room. We went to the crucifix scene, and
Is your mom religious?
I'm out.
Huh? Was she religious?
No, she just no. So okay, there's a longer story to The Exorcist. Mom and Dad, I had colic as a baby, and so
your head spin around,
crying all the time.
Oh,
and they left me with a babysitter to go take a break and go see a movie. And the movie they chose to see was The Exorcist. And they came back, and Dad was telling this. Dad loved this story because it was so funny. But they came back. The babysitter left. They paid the babysitter, all that stuff. And they're both sitting in the living room, still being shocked from the movie. And I start crying. And they both look at each other. You go get him. No. You go get him. No. You go get him. They couldn't because they didn't want to go into the dark room with me in the dark room. And so I still think that's so. Mom had a problem with the movie anyway. So the fact that I had happened to cross it, she was like, look, you can watch this movie if you want, but I ain't going to be in here for this. I'm out, because it freaked her out when she saw it in the movie theater in 1973. So there is that. But yeah, that was one of Dad's favorite movie or favorite stories from that movie.
Yeah. We and also remember, even if you aren't particularly religious in this particular, we're in America, United States of, we're steeped in it.
Mm-hmm. But that was a disturbing body horror scene. It doesn't matter whether it was religious or not.
No, it wasn't graphic. It was the implication, which was enough for.
It was the implication.
So I had a friend who I shared an office with for a while, an older gentleman, and we were talking about some horror movies and stuff, and he was telling me about his experience of watching The Exorcist in Israel. And he said the audience was laughing. Probably not everybody, but enough people that it was a completely different experience.
I can imagine that.
And they were just laughing at it and being like, I can't believe people are scared by this. What the hell is going on?
I'm with you, hero of truth. I'm not watching it.
Because of cultural differences. It's sort of like watching the original Ringu.
Right.
It's like, they referred to me in the diminutive form. The horror.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a tough scene for that. Oh gosh, man.
Oh yeah. I could see that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's entire layers of yikes.
Yeah.
Depending on what religion you're aligned to when you're watching certain movies. There are probably movies. I don't even know why I'm saying probably. I know I have seen Japanese movies that pick on Japanese fears, and I can't relate enough to understand why this movie is scary.
Right, you don't grok it. You're like,
yeah, because and I know I've seen them, and I can remember them in vaguely, and because I don't usually watch a lot of live action from Japan, but I have watched enough while I was there. Just because I got bored and I started renting random things. And so, yeah, I'm sure I know I've seen a couple of movies where I'm like, they're making too many cultural references that I don't understand. Right. And I don't know why this is terrifying.
And then if you do understand it on an intellectual level, you don't feel it in your bones.
Right.
What's
I understand, like, if you put your shoes in the cubby and their toes in, that is a faux pas. That's inviting bad luck. I understand that, but I don't feel that.
Right. Well, and it's there are a lot of things of that caliber. It's
like the manga writer Junji Ito. He plays on a lot of fears, and if you don't have that fear, looking at a bunch of skin with holes in it it doesn't have the same effect unless if you have that fear.
Right. Well, or cultural. I mean, it's funny and interesting. I was having a discussion with my buddy, who is Japanese, and he speaks very good English, and so we often talk about these interesting connections between the two cultures. And one time he was saying, "It's interesting how much Americans distrust robots." And then he said, "Because we've had robots forever," and I said, "Yeah, but you also have Astro Boy." And you've had robots that saved the day. We had Ed 209. And I mean, and the Terminator, and no matter which way you looked at it, the robots here have always gone mad or hurt you or killed you. Hal will eject you outside the airlock, yada, yada, yada.
Maximus.
Right.
And that's why we
Maximilian.
need the
Maximilian
Butlerian
Black Hole.
Jihad.
So
And
babysitters and horror stories. There's a mutual friend that we all know, lives in the same neighborhood as you guys, and she was babysitting Nick back when Nick was like 6 years old.
Uh-huh.
And she's one of those who has a strong belief in the supernatural and such. But she came back and she's pretty freaked out. She's like, I don't know if I could babysit again. I was just sitting here, and Nick walked up to me very matter of factly and said, "Sometimes at night when I'm trying to sleep, the brown hand crawls across the ceiling and turns around and leaves." And she's just like, "Ah!" And it took me like a while to figure out what he's talking about. And I was in the room and looking up, and the ceiling fan's brown, and it has 5 blades. And I'm like, I bet he was talking about that. But
And what he probably was seeing was the cars would go by the window, and that would make the shadow crawl across the ceiling, which would make sense because that would be the way I would interpret it too. You know, I would see that as a brown hand crawling across, especially if it's spinning, because then it would just do this like helicopter thing across the ceiling.
But yeah, fun times,
man. It's fascinating. There's all kinds of stuff that, I mean, now, especially since I've started doing cultural anthropology, just seeing how cultures see things is fascinating, and how they can see different things. And you get the same, well, I mean, there are weird things. Like, it's fascinating that despite the fact that there's kind of spotty evidence that incest is necessarily bad, because there's been actually successful relations between brothers and sisters that have not in fact produced genetic weirdos or whatever because of that. But almost every culture on the planet has a taboo against it, which is fascinating, because then they're like, there's something else occurring that's not happening from, a cultural aspect. There's something else going on. And that, things like that are fascinating. There's things where we're all unified. And then there's these things where we're just not even remotely on the same planet, on these ideas. And it's like, it's fascinating. All kinds of stuff.
What's the end result? I mean, like, it's the end result. It's like back there used to be a time where if you didn't, people didn't realize you needed to cook pork long enough or you die, and therefore eating pork must be evil since people who eat it die.
They actually were saying that it's the belief now is there is what they call I'm trying to remember what it was called. I just had midterms today, so all these terms I had to remember, and of course my brain just dumped them because midterms are over. But there's a thing about when you're raised together, there's some function in our brain that makes us not attracted to the people we're raised with. So it doesn't matter whether it actually is your blood sister or blood brother. What really is you're repulsed by mating with the person you were raised with your litter mates, so to speak, because they were discovering that the same incest taboo would show up with adopted kids, which technically were not genetically the same at all. But because they were raised together, you'd end up with the same kind of taboo going. And that was part of what they were trying to kind of get across, was sometimes as cultural anthropologists, you'll see something and your experience will try to explain what that thing is. And then later you'll find out it was something completely different. And so you have to be open and ready to take that, because you'll be trying to impose yourself. It's called ethnocentrism. and
Mhm.
it's the thing that we have to try to fight as cultural anthropologists. So
Yeah. Yeah, I
I'm
first heard
fascinated by
about that particular one with studies with why the original why the kibbutzes in the 60s were failing, why they didn't have generations in the same place, and that was what they concluded with, is that all the kids were
raised together.
communally raised, and also therefore all none of the kids really saw each other as potential mates
Yeah.
to continue the generations on the kibbutzes in Israel, taking in land from Palestine and such. So
Mhm.
settlements, as they're called.
Yeah, and that's entirely plausible that that's a function to keep us diversified. And to try to keep us from staying, homogenous,
Yeah,
homogenous
and
society.
monocultures are more likely to get wiped out by a particular disease that mutates to go, hey, let's get
Yeah.
that person. Ah, yeah, buddy, there's all over some people over there.
All you have to do is attack the bananas.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, fascinating stuff. I'm always interested by these things now. I'm in the right place.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. No.
All right.
So
Whoop.
just to
Haha,
reiterate,
take that.
Dune's good. Watch Dune. I know we talked about it last week. Dune's good. Watch
Dune
Dune.
2.
Dune 2.
yep,
Super
Looking
and
good.
forward to Dune 3.
we should also raise our glasses to Akira Toriyama, who passed last week.
Ah, but not a huge fan of his work, but definitely a
No,
giant in the
but
field.
Dragon Ball is a big part of anime culture, and
And not just that.
Mm.
He's a giant in the field. He did
yeah,
much more.
it's true too.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Same. I'm not really a big fan, but we have friends who are. So
we do, and I mean, we started watching it, and it's cute. I didn't watch the original Dragon Ball. I got in Z, so like I didn't understand. I mean, I just caught on because it was part of the die meetings that we had, and so I got in during Z and episode 47 or whatever, and it's like, well, I have no idea, but I'll catch up with it as time goes on. So I've never actually seen the beginning, but it happens to be on Crunchyroll, so I happen to have Crunchyroll, so I started watching it, and the kid and I were watching it. We're actually like, oh, this is kind of cute, actually. So we're kind of enjoying it. I mean, it's kind of fun.
hey, does Crunchyroll have Those Who Hunt Elves? Because I'd like to watch that.
No, Elf Hunters. I should look. Actually, I said no, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll go check.
I saw like 1 or 2 episodes, and then it fell off my radar, and I couldn't find it anywhere.
Elf Hunters is the best.
I love the. It's a D&D game, and we have a tank.
Oh, I have to talk to you about that, by the way, at some point in time.
You have a tank?
No, but I have been watching an anime now that I have decided I need to slightly retcon just a little bit of.
Is it the one where they eat stuff in dungeons?
Yep.
Okay.
You got it.
All
Because
right.
that sounds exactly like what she would have been doing while nobody was looking. I mean, like totally going, she's told not to eat the goblins, so she won't eat the demi-humans. So she's been going off to level 1 dungeons and just killing things and trying to cook
This
them.
thing doesn't have legs.
Yep.
It doesn't count.
It doesn't count. It's a slime.
Mhm.
I could see her doing that. That
Me
just
too.
seemed like a thing.
Me too.
Oh, hey. The Chinese Ministry of Culture has banned it.
What?
Yeah, Elf Hunters is banned by China. There you go.
Were they upset that elves were being hunted?
I have no idea. It just says on June 12th, 2015, the Chinese Ministry of Culture listed those who hunt elves among 38 anime and manga titles that are banned in Japan.
Well, I'm not in Japan.
Oh, I'm sorry, banned in China. I'm sorry. Wasn't trying.
Well, I'm not in China.
I'm reading through here trying to see if it will tell me where it's
Take that, you filthy Reds.
yeah, I'm trying to see where it's being.
Let's see
aired.
where to watch and stream. I'm clicking on that.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. Is I was kind of
No, not there.
No. It's because
speaking of like inappropriateness, I'm thinking about introducing my daughter, not through way of the anime, though the more recent ones that came out that you can find on YouTube are way better in art style and in some of the other stuff. But I'm thinking about introducing her to Fist of the North Star. I should probably wait a few more years.
So
I'm drunk.
Bob, yeah. Bob, that's exactly what we've been watching is Delicious in Dungeon, and all I was just saying was that I believe
Sounds like
my
a porno.
character would have done exactly that. The more I watch that show, the more I'm like, yep, that's my character. That's what she would have done. Gone into first level dungeons and killed things and cooked them.
Well, I found a place I can watch it online for free, so I'm set.
Boom.
You're set. Who can argue with that?
It didn't show up the first time I started doing these searches, so
Right? Well, you know what? I've got to go off and do my own show because I don't like you as much.
Get out.
yeah.
Fuck off.
Right?
Piss off.
All right. All right, guys.
Thank you everybody for watching.
Yeah, thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for letting us chat with you tonight, and we appreciate having all of you here. We'll see
Especially
you next
new
week.
faces and old faces.
Yeah, and some people who just replace their faces with other people's faces, a la Hannibal.
Face changer. Face dancers don't come in until Dune Messiah.
Right?
Shut
We're
it.
just saying. Good night, everybody. That's all the time we've got for today. I've been Guy,
I've been Troy.
And I've been Alex.
and this is Geek Tank.